What's up, guys? It's Mantis here, and it is time for the Fallout 4 rant from me. Now, there's a lot of people who have posted Fallout 4 rants, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about what everybody has to think about this game, and sometimes it's not very good. Before I start this, I'm going to light a cigarette, because it is going to take quite a bit of being comfortable. I really have to get comfortable to explain exactly how I feel about this game. So 1 second here. Don't mind me. Fallout 4 is like going through life, getting told that you're special, and then finding out all at once that you're not. And this is why. When I was a kid, the very first RPG that I ever played in my entire life was Fallout 2, and then I ended up over at my friend's house across the street. His older brother had Fallout 1 and 2, and he was playing 2. I would go over there to play Fallout 2, and it was so incredible. This adult game, this adult setting, I don't know. It really opened my eyes to what a video game could be. And even though I was playing games that had better graphics, the story was unrivaled. Like, I couldn't find anything that was a more, like, consequential story back then, back in the late 90s. I could not find a game that I considered to have a more involved story than the first two Fallouts. And I ended up getting it came with a double pack. You could get both of them back then from, I think back then it's GameStop now, but there was a split, but there was like GameStop and Game Crazy and EB and stuff like that, and I forget exactly where I got it, but I ended up picking it up and never put it down, ended up skipping school to play it, you know, the typical favorite game when you're a kid kind of things. So, as I'm going through life, it almost feels like Fallout is a unique experience for me, because I couldn't find any other people who had even heard of it, let alone played it to the extent that I had. It just wasn't on people's radar. It didn't look appealing to somebody who was looking at the games for that time period in my age generation. So when I would go to school, you know, everybody would be talking about, you know, the newest, let's see, like PlayStation 1, we'd be talking about Twisted Metal and the new Crash Bandicoots and stuff like that, and I had those too, but, you know, I could never find anybody who, you know, besides my friend across the street, who had known what Fallout was. And, you know, I'd go through life, and eventually Interplay decides that, well, they didn't decide anything, but Interplay goes the way it did. And I pretty much wrote Fallout off there. Like, I never thought I'd see another Fallout again, and, you know, we move on. And it always was a special thing in my heart, those two games, of just such good game design, and it felt like it was tailored towards me, and I think that's just how well they wrote those games, to the point where everybody felt like it was their game. Now I digress. Fast forward, Fallout 3 comes out. I had heard of Bethesda, but I had never played a Bethesda game before. I remember when I pre-ordered Fallout 3, there was people at the GameStop saying, well, it's just going to be Oblivion with guns, and I had no frame of reference to that. Zero frame of reference. I had never played an Elder Scrolls game. So the closest I had gotten was perhaps EverQuest or World of Warcraft back in the day. Or even on a lesser extent, RuneScape, with that kind of fantasy environment. That's literally my experience I had with a fantasy environment. And I'm not saying that the Elder Scrolls games aren't good. I just they weren't on my radar. I didn't see them. And then Bethesda is like, hey, Fallout, and it caught my attention. So the first Bethesda game that I end up playing is Fallout 3. And I liked it at the time because I am so in love with the concept of Fallout, and so in love with the setting and the story and the lore, that it was just so cool to experience that world the way that they put it forth. And then you have Obsidian release New Vegas, and it's just, they perfect that. They perfect that. If the game is going to be this way, they did it the best, in my opinion. Like, okay, this first person Fallout experience, you know, I think Obsidian really perfected it with New Vegas. Now, you know, you fast forward to waiting for Fallout 4 to be announced, even wondering if they're even going to do it, waiting and just waiting and waiting and waiting. Then one day, finally, you hear there's an announcement, Fallout 4, and you see the trailer, you see the gameplay, and it looks fucking amazing. But there's something they left out, isn't there? There's something they left out at E3. There's something they left out of the Bethesda stuff when they were doing the promotion for Fallout, and we all saw the trailers. We all saw the gameplay aspects. There is something crucial that Bethesda left out, and that's that they were changing the formula. And a lot of people would have respected Bethesda if they would have told everybody that then. If they would have said, you know, this is going to be a different experience where all gamers can come and enjoy the Fallout experience. I think it would have been a little bit more favorable. Now, like I had stated in videos before, I was lucky enough to have a friend who is a fan of my work and I work very closely with in my gaming life in the cons, who said, you know, I want you to be able to play this, and you know, he sent me an Xbox One and he sent me Fallout 4. And so I'm eternally grateful to be able to play it, and I think it was a fun experience. And so after being like not wanting to shit all over it because I got it for free, not wanting to cheapen that gift because it was an amazing gift, it means the world to me, and it like legitimately is one of the best, nicest things anybody's ever done for me. So me saying this about Fallout 4 is not me cheapening the gift that I received or being ungrateful. It's just kind of like this, it's coming from a place of actual disappointment. Now, ever since Fallout 3, arguably New Vegas updated it a little bit and had more to offer with it, but Fallout 3 had very little actual player choice in my opinion. Fallout 4 has less than that. Now, what I mean by that, as you can see in the video right now, I'm looking through a diner, and I'm looking through it like it's fucking Fallout New Vegas. I'm picking things up. This is not the Fallout 4 Bethesda built. This is a mod that a fan of Fallout built to make Fallout 4 feel like more like Fallout. It's called The Crowded Wasteland, plenty of exploration. There's a couple of mods I have on during this gameplay right here. And it's really unfortunate that the modding community has to come in and make the game feel more genuine. And that's when you know that you might have fucked up a little bit. Now, one thing that Bethesda, I think, intentionally lied about, and I'm using the term intentionally and lied about, is the settlement system. The settlement system at the beginning was pitched to be a completely optional game mechanic that you could indulge in if you wanted to, or simply leave on the burner to explore more things because it's your choice. But then they release literally 4 DLCs out of the 6 that they say that because they say Nuka World's going to be the last one. 6 DLCs, 4 of them revolve around the settlement crafting situation. Now, I'm not saying that I'll be the first to admit that I don't mind the settlements that much. When I feel in the mood, I'll build for a while. You know, I'll build and I'll check stuff out and I'll see how everything works and get everybody jobs and stuff and get it going. But really? You take things like Fallout 3 and New Vegas and you look at the DLCs, even Oblivion and the Shivering Isles. In my opinion, Shivering Isles for Elder Scrolls Oblivion, one of the best DLCs that has ever fucking happened, ever. And you look at their track record with that kind of shit, and you really start to wonder, what the fuck were they thinking? And I'm not saying it from a point of, I could do better, because I couldn't. I couldn't make a fucking video game if you paid me $1 million. I couldn't do that. I have no idea how to do that. But I do know that these people are very capable of making amazing video games that are very engaging, that have great story arcs, and it's just simply not here. I remember a guy at the beginning of the Fallout Press hype train who worked with Bethesda who said, well, I've been playing the game for 800 hours and I still feel like I haven't found anything else yet. Bullshit, dude. Because I played the game for 200 hours and I guarantee I did everything you can. I guarantee I found everything you could find and I did everything you could do. And then when I turned on mods, the game became interesting. And it's because it's so fucking linear and it's so anti-player choice that it's almost insulting to the core fan base. And you'll probably hear a lot of people saying pretty similar things to what I'm saying. I'm saying it from not only a veteran of the Fallout series standpoint. I've played every Fallout Online mod. I've played every fucking mod that exists for the first 2 games. I've played a bunch of Fallout 3. I mean, well, let's leave those off the equation. This is coming from somebody who genuinely cares about this fucking franchise. And I just don't understand what happened. Now, one of the things that you may have heard me mention before in a previous video is this copy and pasted interior thing. Now, I'm not showing footage of it right here because this is my modded playthrough, but it should be very... Look it up on the Fallout Wiki. I'm not going to do that research for you at this moment. I may do a separate... It's such a big issue to me that the reason I'm not covering it so much right here is I might even do a separate video just about the copy and pasted interiors. But that was so fucking insulting, Bethesda, and I couldn't believe it. I legitimately lost respect for you. And this is where it comes from. You have a game company like fucking Rockstar Games, okay? Look at what Rockstar Games did. They released Grand Theft Auto 5 back in, I think, 2013 for the last gen consoles. The reason they even fucking bothered releasing it on the last gen consoles was because they wanted to have a model for that worked out and done, but they wanted to get it out to us because they knew that the console life for the Xbox 360 and the PS3 was coming to an end, and they wanted to get something out there to just so that people could fucking have it. And I believe that. I don't believe it was a cash grab. I believe they spent years and years just actually developing something that they cared about. And what came out was a product that made other game developers, not only the fans of gaming, take a step back and really, like Hideo Kojima changed his entire workforce around Grand Theft Auto 5 after playing Grand Theft Auto 5. He said that it actually made him depressed to know that you could do something so good on this generation of consoles, and that he hadn't reached that level yet. And that's why you see with Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, and to a lesser extent Ground Zeroes, really taking after the model of Grand Theft Auto 5, and you'll see a lot more games doing that in the future, the open world style games, because it's more enjoyable, because players like choice. And in Metal Gear Solid 5, a Metal Gear Solid game which used to be strictly linear can now feel more open world while still being linear. And then you take a game like Fallout 4, which by every stretch of the imagination should be open world, and it's more linear. And you really have to start to wonder why the fuck that happened. Was the story so important that it had to go this way? It had to play out this way? That Bethesda had to have you make, like, these choices were... In Fallout 2, and New Vegas, really, but especially in Fallout 2, you could play that game, if you didn't look up walkthroughs or anything like that, you could play that game, have a friend who goes and plays that game. You both could sit down and have a conversation about the experiences you just had with that game, and it will be 100% different. Now, I'm not saying every game should be like that, but Fallout's had been like that up until Fallout 4. Even Fallout 3, which had admittedly took a back burner, in my opinion, when it came to the player choice and the depth of story and things like that. So what is Fallout 4's excuse? What is its excuse? It had next-gen capabilities. It had IP that couldn't fail, that was hyped to oblivion. No pun intended. Where it failed was not letting Obsidian take over it. And I really believe that. And I didn't used to believe that. But it takes playing through Fallout 4 to really get a grasp of how good New Vegas is. Because New Vegas really sets a precedent for what a Fallout game should be. And I didn't necessarily think that until I played through all of Fallout 4. I waited for this game to play it for fucking... up until, you know, it came out. I just played it for the first time a couple months ago. That's how long I've been waiting. I've been waiting since Fallout New Vegas for Fallout 4. And I just feel a little lied to. Now, Ubisoft has been doing this thing, and you can look up these videos as well. They're called E3 downgrades, where they show you something like Watch Dogs at E3, and then you can look at how Watch Dogs looked afterwards, and you can see how they were blatantly lying to you. And I think Bethesda did it to a lesser extent. I think they did it more mechanically than Ubisoft maybe did it graphically. Bethesda did it mechanically, where, hey, this is a Fallout game, but it's actually just Rage, id's Rage, published by Bethesda, with a Fallout skin over it. Now, am I being a little too far on one side with that? Yeah, I am. But that's because it could have been the best Fallout that they made. But they chose not to. And I just want to know why. Because it's super confusing to me. It's confusing to me. Spoiler alert, by the way. I'll try to put that in the description because now we're getting into spoiler territory. It confuses me that you have these three objectives, and it's always, oh, good, neutral, bad. But in Fallout 4, they try to blur that line. And I can tell you right now, if you were supposed Bethesda, I always play as a good guy in your games. I've never had, like, unless I'm getting the achievements, I always play as a good karma, white knight motherfucker. That's the way I like to play these games. Why on earth would I then want to legitimately morally side with the Institute? Because your fucking story arc fails. It makes the Brotherhood of Steel look like a group of goddamn savages instead of a group of highly advanced super soldiers who have an obsession with technology. You make them look like savages who are simply scavenging for the nuts and bolts that are being left behind. And that is not the Brotherhood. You killed the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 3, in my opinion. But you drove the final nail into the coffin in Fallout 4. And I just don't understand. I don't understand. Because it's not the IP's fault. And that's what I'm getting at, guys, is this was intentional. They're genius game makers. This is the game they meant to put out. So what the fuck is the excuse? It's not a bad game. And it's a good shooter, but it's not an RPG. And that's the Fallout experience I'm used to having. So if this is the new Fallout, I don't see myself playing or enjoying the next one. Unless there's some changes. Because it's not the IP I remember. It's not the thing that I was invested in so much before. And I know I said I don't, like, there was a video I put up before where I'm like, I don't buy the whole this isn't Fallout anymore. It is Fallout. It's just I don't like what Fallout is now. And I could go on. It's just really ask yourself, what the fuck was going on here? Are they trying to appeal to a broader spectrum of people to make the game more play? Because I love how well the guns work in Fallout 4. It's the best shooting in a Fallout game I've ever experienced. And the melee is pretty good too. So what the fuck happened? They stripped it. They stripped it to make it more simplified. They cut down the story arcs to make it less intimidating. And maybe they're appealing to a wider, I mean, you could see the hype train. This thing fucking sold insanely well. Probably rivaled GTA 5. If not surpassed it, but I doubt it surpassed it. But still, what the fuck? You just gotta really ask yourself, because look at, I'll go back to what I was saying before. Look at Rockstar Games. It makes GTA 5. Consistently updates it for free. For free. And part of it was a guilty thing, I think. They felt guilty because they were supposed to launch with GTA Online and they couldn't. Technical limitations, they just couldn't. And so to make amends with all these people, they offered free money, GTA money, they offered all this other stuff, and then they have not once charged somebody for the DLC that they've released. Why, you may ask? Because they don't need to. And then you have people like Bethesda, Horse Armor, first DLC they ever put out, and it goes to show what they're doing with it. It goes to show that, oh, they'll pay $20 for a pack of new things to build in their settlement that a modder could easily come in and put in. And I'm not against new settlement items, but make them for free. Make them some side fucking, if it's supposed to be so optional, here's some optional DLC. But no, instead you have to buy the DLC to complete the achievements, to complete the game, to feel like you have a complete game. And that's not just a Bethesda problem. But look at the DLCs for fucking Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Operation Anchorage, which is arguably the closest to Fallout 4 in Fallout 3. It's still so fucking much better than even Far Harbor. It's unbelievable. So, I don't know. If you agree with me or not, thanks for listening to me rant. I may have more to say on this later. It's embarrassing. And, like I said, game was good. I really did enjoy my playthrough through it. But what the fuck? Like, no player choice in my opinion. Doesn't matter what build you make, because it all ends up the same. And I don't know. That alone left a bad taste in my mouth. So, as always, it's been Mantis. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe.